The apartment we now call home was reportedly haunted by a demon 14 years ago. My stepson played a significant role in the events, so I need to provide some background. My husband is the one who told me those tales about my stepson. My guess is that even as a young boy, my stepson had a predisposition toward the supernatural. When the stepson was a newborn, he once woke up in the middle of the night wailing in his cot at another haunted apartment, insisting he was harmed. His mom and husband both saw the 3 scratches on his back. Naturally, there are explanations, but the spouse said there weren't any marks there when he put his son to bed. My stepson has a mysterious orb appearing in nearly all of our family photos. The photographs showing only his foot and the carefully arranged orb near it can, of course, be explained away. The strange orb appeared in almost 90% of the pictures we had of him, regardless of the setting. We jumped back in time 14 years to a time when we were finally able to rent an apartment. Even though we had really bad credit, the landlord offered us a chance. Since we had been sharing my mother's house, we were thrilled at the prospect of moving into our own apartment in a nicer part of town. When the owner first showed us the flat, he mentioned that he had to undertake major repairs because the previous renters had trashed the place. From the corner of my eye, I could tell that there were 2 bedrooms the first month. Since I was caring for my then 2-year-old son, I attributed my symptoms to simple exhaustion. I thought things were bad before I laid my 2-year-old down for a nap and had a shower. In case my 1-year-old son woke up, I left the door open between the bathroom and my bedroom. It seemed like someone was watching me as I was in the shower. When I opened my eyes, a dark figure was racing out the door. My infant started bawling her eyes out. I jumped out of the shower hastily, suspicious that someone had broken in. The front door was locked when I looked. It's been about a month since this happened. My stepdaughters, then ages 8 and 9, would visit once a week and on some weekends. Their bedroom saw little use. There was a peculiar rotten egg odor coming from their room, and I could hear the sliding wood closet doors knocking. I looked everywhere for the source of the odor, but I couldn't find it. My future mother-in-law had visited a few times, and she always joked that the kids must have forgotten an egg salad sandwich. At one point, my husband heard the knocking, but he dismissed it as the air conditioner turning on. My husband had to work on a weekend, so I was left to care for the kids by myself. After putting everyone to bed, I opted to remain up and watch an episode of Ghost Adventures alone. While dozing off on the couch, I opened my eyes to see my stepson standing nearby, staring blankly. He suddenly remembered that sleepwalking was a recurring problem for him. He then began muttering something about a terrifying old man hiding in his closet. My naive assumption that he was having a nightmare led me to help him get back to bed. My stepson, as I prepared to leave the room, sat up in bed and murmured, "The old man in the closet is looking at me." Once I noticed the closet door was open, I got the creeps. Then my stepson warned me that he is going to knock. 3 short knocks followed. The room quickly became overpowered by the stench of spoiled eggs. Turning on the lights, I led my stepson to my room. Inwardly, I was freaking out because I did not want to leave my stepdaughter sleeping on the top bunk in that room. I tucked the kids into bed with me and fought off sleep till dawn. I don't particularly believe in any gods, but I did go to Mom for guidance. She told me to put oil on my fingers and pray over the rooms while placing crosses on the doorposts. I followed her instructions to a T. That night, I dreamed my mother was possessed and I had to kill her. In the nightmare, I was forced to watch as she died a horrible death. I awoke bawling my eyes out. I desperately wanted to be mobile, but that was out of the question. After that, things calmed down in the flat. There was, however, a new development. My bed was trembling one night and I woke up scared. Someone's knees were firmly planted on our mattress, and the whole thing was trembling. The moment I awakened my spouse to check if he too sensed it, it stops. Once a week, this would occur. As background, my kid, who was a year old at the time, slept in a toddler bed next to ours. My then 9-year-old son and I were up watching TV in the living room one night. My husband had to be at work bright and early, so he turned in early. He walked out of the room, clearly irritated, and told us to stop letting our 1-year-old into the bedroom because he was shaking the bed. I assured him that our son never set foot in there. As soon as I finished speaking, the glass panel covering the light above the entryway collapsed behind me. My spouse stood there, looking confused and sleepy. He was finally able to empathize with and understand the struggles I've been through. We found a house for rent in the area and eventually left. We only stayed at this place for a year. Nothing ever happened to us again after that apartment. Sigh of relief. I was beginning to worry that whatever inhabited this space would try to hitch a ride with us. In 2020, my stepson tragically passed away. Before he passed away, I told him the story from when he was a teenager, and he insisted he didn't recall the incident in the apartment. I have no doubt that he encountered whatever was hiding out in that flat.